Hello everybody and welcome to the introduction of the CoinQuest Nickels series. For those of you who don't know, CoinQuest is a series that I do on my channel where I coin roll hunt through boxes of coins in search of interesting and valuable coins that I can use to fill in my collection books. The goal of the series is to see how far we're able to fill out these collection books using only a limited number of boxes. So in this video, I want to do two things specifically. The first is show you the collections that I have in front of me. These are the collections that I'm going to be filling out in the CoinQuest Nickels series. And then the second thing is to introduce you to the coin roll hunting Nickels placemat that I have in front of me. This is a placemat that I designed specifically for coin roll hunting Nickels. It's going to have a lot of details both on the front and back sides, and we're going to get into all of that. For now, I'd just like to say that I do have these up for sale on my website at this moment, and you can go there at quinscoins.com. Links will be down in the description below. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this video. So here are the collection albums that we will be filling out during the Nickels CoinQuest series. We'll start off with this one in the middle because it is probably going to have the most coins actually go into it in this series. As you can see, it is the Jefferson Nickels 1938 through 2005 Dansko collection. And as you guys know, we do collect coins all the way up through the present date. It does say that it only goes through 2005, but it actually has spaces for up to, I believe, 2015 in here. And then I guess we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do with those other 2 or 3 years that we're missing. The second album that I have here is the Canadian Nickel album that's going from 1965 up through 2012. Guys, the breakoffs on these albums didn't work out quite right this time around. We're not really getting a full picture of all of the coins that we can find. As you can see, this one only goes up through 2012, and there are not any extra spaces, unfortunately. But this is a pretty darn good album, and I don't anticipate finding much before 1965. So I definitely wanted to snag this one and see how far we could fill in those Canadians, because we do get quite a few of them here in Michigan, even if we don't get them before 1965. And the final album that I have here that we're going to be filling in the Nickels CoinQuest series is our Buffalo Nickel album from 1913 up through 1938. Guys, you know that these are pretty difficult to find. It's not very often that you come across Buffalo Nickels in a box. I think I average about 1 every 2 boxes, but I've heard a lot worse for other people, depending on where you are in the country. Although we do find them occasionally, and it's almost always possible to get a date off of the Buffalo Nickel one way or another. So I thought I'd pick up this album and just see how far we could fill it out. Even if we only get a few coins in it, I think it's still cool to have and try to fill in as much as we possibly can. So that's a brief look at the coin albums that we're looking to fill out in this CoinQuest series. We have our Jefferson Nickels from 1938 up to date. We have our Canadian Nickels from 1965 to 2012, and we have our Buffalo Nickels from 1913 to 1938. Now let's go ahead and just take a quick look at this Jefferson Nickels album, because like I said, this is going to be where we're putting the majority of our coins, and I thought you guys would just like to take a look at the blank album. So these are Dansko albums. They're very nice, but they do cost a premium on the coin album market. They're probably the most expensive coin albums that you can buy. But as you can see here, there's our 38 through 1949 page, and flip over to the next one, we have 49 through 1964. Really no surprises here. As you can see, we're not seeing any like double dies or anything like that. It's mostly just standard Denver, San Francisco, and Philadelphia mint coins. Of course, the San Francisco mint did end in 1954, at least for regulation strikes, and I believe it never continued in the Nickels. So as you can see, getting onto the next page, 1960s through the 1980s, again, very standard, really no surprises when it comes to Nickels. And of course, guys, you know that most of these coins in the 80s, 90s are very easy to find. We're gonna fill out these certain pages very quickly in the first episodes, but some of those older coins, especially getting back into the 40s, are a little bit more difficult. Certain dates are more difficult than others. We're going to get into that in a second on the coin roll hunting placemat, because that's actually going to help you distinguish between which dates are more difficult to find than others. So now that we've taken a look at the collections, we're going to move on to the PlaceMatch, which I designed specifically for coin roll hunting Nickels. Guys, I put a lot of time into these, and I'm super proud of this product. I'd like to direct your attention to it now. So as you can see, just a brief taking a look at the front side here. These are all of the different nickels that you're going to be looking for. We'll go into that in just a second. And then if you take a look at the back side over here, this is the scoring system that we're going to be using to score the nickel boxes that we look through every single episode. We also have an additional Canadian score sheet. And then over here we have our key date, low mintage, and low mintage Buffalo nickel lists. As you can see, that low mintage Buffalo nickel list is pretty large, but these are super helpful lists when we're looking through our nickels to determine if we have a more rare date or not. So guys, once again, these are available for sale on my website at quinscoins.com. I will put a link down in the description below. Let's flip this over to the front side and take a closer look at every coin here so that we can kind of figure out, just in case you're new to this or if you just need a refresher, all of the different types of coins that we could possibly find in a nickel roll. And I think this just about covers every single one. So we'll start up here with the very earliest, the Shield nickel, which went from 1866 to 1883. These I don't think I've ever actually seen anybody find in a machine wrapped roll. I think I have seen one or two come out of customer wrapped rolls. The reason for that is because the diameter of it is just a little bit smaller than a nickel, and I'm pretty sure that the coin counting machines actually reject them. So we probably shouldn't get our hopes up for finding a Shield nickel. On the other hand, we have the V nickel, which I've actually found quite a few of. I have a video where I found, I think, 4 in a single roll. So they definitely are out there. They're pretty seldom found. I think we find them a little bit more than we find Indian head pennies, but they are pretty difficult to find. Now moving on to the Buffalo nickel. Like I said, guys, I get about one of these every 2 boxes, so that's what I'm expecting for this series. Hopefully we get a whole bunch of those and we can fill them into our Buffalo nickel collection. And once again, they went from 1913 through 1938. Now moving over here, this is going to be the majority of the nickels that we're finding, 1938s through 2003, and these are known as the Jefferson Nickels. So this coin design has been around for a long time. It's been around since 1938, and they didn't even change it until 2006 when they came out with this thing they called Jefferson Modified. So we'll see a lot of these, quite a few less of the Buffalo nickels, and we may not even see a V nickel in the series unless we're lucky, and we do. So moving down here to the second row, we have our war nickels. So a lot of people don't know this, but actually during the wartime from 1942 up through 1945, they made nickels out of a different composition, and that composition included 35% silver. And then another thing that's interesting about these war nickels is that they actually put the mint mark on the backside, very large and very visible, right above the Monticello right there. So you'll see if you get any of these coins, you'll see either a P, a D, or an S above the Monticello, and that will signify that you have yourself a silver war nickel. Now moving over here, these aren't particularly interesting coins as far as mintages or any of that goes, but they are a very special design that was only put on the nickels during the 2004 and 2005 periods. As you can see, we have sort of a gap here between the Jefferson nickel and the Jefferson Modified. That is because we were minting these more interesting coins here. So the names of these nickels in order are the Louisiana Purchase, Keelboat, Bison, and Ocean in View. Now a lot of people actually will confuse this Bison nickel for a Buffalo nickel, and as you can see they do look pretty similar, but the Bison nickel is always going to be facing to the right, and it's only 2005. It's really, if you look at these coins for any longer than about 5 seconds, you'll know that they are very different coins. So those are just some commemorative coins that I thought would be worth putting on the placemat because they are pretty interesting if you haven't seen them before. Now moving down here, we have a few specialty items that we may be able to find in the rolls. First one is a blank planchet. This is a coin that just never got struck correctly, and it is just a completely blank disc. I've never found one in a nickel roll before, but I know people who have, and it's definitely something that you should be looking out for. Moving over here, we have a proof nickel. So something that's going to distinguish a proof nickel, if you're able to find one, is this mirror-like finish. As you can see, it's quite a bit shinier. It has that mirror-like finish that you're not going to see on any of the other coins. So be looking out for that. And one of the key distinctions here is that you're almost always going to have that San Francisco mint, anything after 1964. So that's an easy way to find out if you have a proof nickel. Moving over here, we have some common foreign coins that you might come across while you're coin roll hunting nickels. This one is a Canadian 5-cent piece, and then this here right here is a Commonwealth of the Bahamas coin. These are the two that I find the most frequently. Of course, there are others out there that you may find as well. And then over here we have the 2009 nickel. The reason this one is on here is because it is a low mintage year relative to 2010, 2011, and any other coin in that general vicinity. These actually don't come up very often. I think I average about 1 per box, and you really have to be looking out for these. Otherwise you're going to miss them because they look like every other coin. Now taking a closer look at the back side of the placemat, starting up here we have our Quin's Coins official nickel coin roll hunting competition standard score sheet, and this is what we're going to be using to score our boxes so that we have some sort of relative scoring so that we can compare them with each other. Going up here, we'll just take a brief look at how we're going to be scoring these boxes. As you can see, we're going to be pulling out anything in the 50s, 40s, and 30s for all these different point values. Of course, pulling out Buffalo Nickels, V Nickels, Shield Nickels, everything you saw on the front side is basically going to get pulled out and count for points, with the exception of the 2004s and the 2005s. And then if we take a look here, War Nickels, low mintage Jeffersons, we'll get to that in a second, key date Jeffersons and low mintage Buffaloes, blank planchets, proofs, foreigns, and 2009s, all of them having their respective point values. Now, when we look at low mintage Jefferson, what do we mean by that? Well, we come over here and you see right here we have our list of low mintage Jefferson Nickels. That is anything below 25 million minted. So these are going to be a special point value because they're very difficult to find. They're much more rare than your standard 40s and 50s nickel. So I've listed the year of every coin that falls into this low mintage category so that you can look at this at your convenience and you can know what you're finding. Coming over here to the key date Jeffersons, we have a list for that as well. So that's anything below 10 million minted. These are even more rare to find, and they bring in much higher point value. So all of these dates here are below 10 million minted in the Jefferson series. Then on top of that, we also have a low mintage Buffalo list. So if you come over here, these are our low mintage Buffaloes. There's quite a few of them, anything below 10 million minted. And as you can see, we have all of those listed out right here for you. So one last thing on the back side of this placemat that we skipped over, we have our additional Canadian score sheet. This is for anybody who finds a lot of Canadian coins, anything that's going to be 99.9% nickel, which is 65 up through 81. They actually transitioned in 1982, just like we did with our pennies in the United States. They turned them into a different metal using more copper than they were with nickel. Those are going to be worth 5 points. Anything that's a young head, which is going to be really difficult to find, is worth 10 points. King George 6, King George 5, you guys get the idea. And then we actually kept the rule from the pennies placemat where anything steel is actually going to be worth -1 points. So there you have it, guys. That is how the series is going to work. We're going to be looking through 8 $100 boxes of nickels in search for interesting and valuable coins that we can use to fill in the collections, and we'll be using the coin roll hunting nickels placemat as we go to help us in our hunt. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm super excited to get this series started. Be on the lookout for episode 1 in the coming weeks. And as always, I'm Quin, and this is Quin's Coin signing out, and I will see you in the next one.